Hello beautiful people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Happy to have you guys here today, and today we're going to be discussing a scary story that I experienced, ghost story that I experienced as a child. It's going to be a Halloween story time, okay? This is not going to be a prediction video. I will post the prediction videos coming up very soon for November, but I wanted to make this video because why not? It's Halloween, my favorite season, and I've had a lot of paranormal experiences growing up, and I wanted to make a video sharing some stories that I've experienced as a child, growing up in a haunted house, growing up in, a very superstitious family, superstitious culture, and I'm going to share with you some of my personal scary stories. So without further ado, grab your popcorn, pause this video, use the bathroom, just kidding. Yeah, and if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. I am El Nino. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment down below where you're from, say hi. Also, what do you guys want to do for Halloween? Let me know down below, but yeah, well, let us get started. Alrighty, so for scary story number one. I always say prediction. For scary story number one, this takes place when I was a kid. Okay, I had lived in a haunted house as a child, and basically the house I lived in was built in 1927. And if you guys know California has a history of having orange groves, farms, olive groves, and people are very surprised that they always think LA, they think it's a city, but it's actually, back in the day, most of LA was a farm, and even outside of LA today, there's still farming communities throughout SoCal, okay? So my town that I specifically lived in was known for olives, for orange groves, for farms, and the house that was built in my old house was built in 1927, okay? So, long story short, my grandpa, when he came here to America, he had bought this property of this house, not this house I'm in, but the house when I used to live there, in the 1960s. Long story short, he built the house there with my grandma, and he ended up passing away. He passed away in his sleep inside of that house, okay, in his bedroom. So when my dad moved here with me and my mother, we moved in this house, and my dad was fixing stuff around the house, and my dad also was really good at building houses. Like, that was his niche. So my dad was in the backyard one day, and he was like taking out some stuff, and he put me in the house, and I was like 5.5 years old. He put me in the room, and he had me play with a toy while he was outside in the backyard. And my dad told me the story how, as he was in the backyard, he saw this big, tall man who was very pale, very white, and he had a suit on, and he was walking past my father, and my father thought he was tripping. I was like, what? So when my dad looked at this man, my dad saw the man walk to the front door of the house where I was at. So my dad was freaking out. My dad literally got a bat and go running to the house. And when he came inside the house, no one was in here. But when he went to go see me, he saw me in the room talking to somebody, laughing and giggling as a child. And my dad asked me who it was. I don't remember personally, but my dad said that I was just talking, laughing. I didn't tell him who it was, but I just was laughing and joking with this person. Like, it was just legit. Like, my dad said I was joking, like telling jokes, laughing, and I was just having a ball. So, long story short, my dad was talking to my grandma after that happened, and she had told him, yeah, that's Jose. That was my grandpa who passed away. Yeah, Jose, oh yeah. He really loved this house, and he, that was him. Like, she said it like normal, like as if my dad was supposed to know. And it was very eerie and very creepy. And then fast forward to 3 years after, I was about 8 years old, going on 9. So sorry about that. So fast forward to 3 years later. I'm 8 years old. I'm sitting in the living room of my house. I'm watching Cartoon Network, and it's 9 or 10 at night. And right by my living room, there was the kitchen door right there. And there's like this doorway that leads to the kitchen. So as I'm sitting down watching TV, and I was sitting like this, right? I'm looking at you guys, and then to the left of me would be my kitchen. And you know how you could see from the peripheral, I could see house, I could see everything around me, right? So I'm here looking straight. All of a sudden, I see this man walk up to the doorway, but it's weird because he looked like he was far away. It's almost like the doorway stretched for miles, and I saw the silhouette of this man. He had a blank face, but he was very white, and he had a dress suit on, and he was balding a bit, and he had kind of like lightish hair. It was kind of like a dark blondish kind of color. And then he was looking at me for like 5 minutes, and then he just walked into the kitchen. And I remember that feeling when I was sitting there. I didn't feel scared. I was just kind of like, felt nothing. But I remember I got up, I went to the kitchen, turned on the light, and nobody was there. And I remember I went to go tell my mom what happened, and then my mom went to go tell my grandma, and my grandma showed me, is this the guy? I'm like, yeah, like the way I described him, she was like, yep, that's what's said. That's your great grandpa. So she's like, yep, he haunts this place. So that was that story. I have never saw him after that though. Like I've never seen him. I don't know why. It just, the energy just, I guess, away. And if he's still here, you know, I don't know. I don't live in the house anymore. But yeah, never after that did I see him, and that was that story. Okay, now I'm going to tell you story number 2. This one is creepy. This one's creepy, and I'm going to tell you why. So sorry about that. So fast forward to 3 years later. I'm 8 years old. I'm sitting in the living room of my house. I'm watching Cartoon Network, and it's 9 or 10 at night. And right by my living room, there was the kitchen door right there. And there's like this doorway that leads to the kitchen. So as I'm sitting down watching TV, and I was sitting like this, right? I'm looking at you guys, and then to the left of me would be my kitchen. And you know how you could see from the peripheral, I could see house, I could see everything around me, right? So I'm here looking straight. All of a sudden, I see this man walk up to the doorway, but it's weird because he looked like he was far away. It's almost like the doorway stretched for miles, and I saw the silhouette of this man. He had a blank face, but he was very white, and he had a dress suit on, and he was balding a bit, and he had kind of like lightish hair. It was kind of like a dark blondish kind of color. And then he was looking at me for like 5 minutes, and then he just walked into the kitchen. And I remember that feeling when I was sitting there. I didn't feel scared. I was just kind of like, felt nothing. But I remember I got up, I went to the kitchen, turned on the light, and nobody was there. And I remember I went to go tell my mom what happened, and then my mom went to go tell my grandma, and my grandma showed me, is this the guy? I'm like, yeah, like the way I described him, she was like, yep, that's what's said. That's your great grandpa. So she's like, yep, he haunts this place. So that was that story. I have never saw him after that though. Like I've never seen him. I don't know why. It just, the energy just, I guess, away. And if he's still here, you know, I don't know. I don't live in the house anymore. But yeah, never after that did I see him, and that was that story. Okay, now I'm going to tell you story number 2. This one is creepy. This one's creepy, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so I think this story, I was 9 years old, so this was a year after my grandpa, and I was still living in that house, and this story has to do with my mom, and it correlates to me because I'll tell you the story. So basically, my mom, she had a high school sweetheart who fell in love with her, but my mom didn't feel the same way back for this guy. Okay? Long story short, after they graduated high school, people move on, they move on with their life. But this guy would always send letters to my mother saying that he wanted to be with her and that he misses her. But my mom just saw him as a friend. She never really liked him like that. Long story short, this guy was found dead in a park years later. And before my mom found out that he passed away, my mom was having dreams of him, and he kept coming to my mom's dreams, and my mom didn't even know that he had died yet until my mom asked about him to a friend months after, and then he was like, yeah, like, we're gonna just call him Harold. She's like, yeah, Harold passed away at a park, and it could have done something with drugs. It was either like a drug deal or he was unalived, okay? Which I think he was unalived, but it had to do with probably that stuff, that substances. So my mom told me that story when I was 9 years old. I think that was even around October when that happened. This situation, it was around Halloween, and I was really creeped out by that. So long story short, my room needed to be remodeled, and I couldn't stay in my room. So I was sleeping in my mom's bed on one side. My mom had a huge bed, and I was sleeping on the left side of her bed because my room was being remodeled, so I didn't have anywhere to sleep at the time, and I was sleeping with my mom, and she was on the right side of the king size bed. Anyways, one night we were talking, okay, and she was telling me the story again about her ex-friend Harold, the ex-lover. And I remember I was getting goosebumps when she was telling me this, and I was asking her questions, and she was like, yeah, like, he kept appearing to me over and over and over, and then one night, he came to me in a dream again, and I told him, it's okay, I forgive you, like, I love you. And then she hugged him, and his body got all warm, and then he disappeared, and he never, ever came back into her dream. So, kid you not, she told me the story late at night. We fall asleep. When I wake up in the morning, tell me why on my side of the bed there was a dresser right there, and there's a picture that is face down on the floor. So I turn the picture over. I got chills right now. It was his picture, and it had his name right there. When I tell you I screamed, I woke up my mom. I'm like, did you do this? Like, did you do that? She's like, what? And then she got scared. She's like, what? No, I didn't even do that. Like, she got scared. She thought I was pranking her at one point. And I'm like, girl, no, like, what? Yeah, and basically, I was like, did you do that? And she's like, no. And then we were both really scared. And she had that picture from one of her yearbooks that she had in high school, and he was in that yearbook, and he had gave her a picture to have, and it was just very creepy. And she didn't even know where that picture was. Like, she had thought she lost it, and she's like, wow, like, I thought I lost that picture. Like, I was in the yearbook, and then the picture came out of the yearbook, and she couldn't find it, and then she thought she had lost it a long time ago, and then it was there. Now, the third story, this one is actually very recent, and this one was actually last year, 2024. And I had made a video about this, and I'll tell you guys the story again. I had this friend in high school who, we were friends in 9th grade, and I was at that only school for about 3 months. His name was Julio. And I still get chills to this day because it's just creepy. So Julio passed away after we graduated high school. Was only there for 3 months. I had transferred, but we still had each other's socials on Facebook. And I didn't find out that he passed away till 2023, but he had passed away in 2022 on December 31st, New Year's Eve. He had gotten shot out on the street and he had passed away. And what was sad was that he was about to get engaged to his fiance and he was going to move to, I believe it was Louisiana. And when I found that out, I was like, whoa, because, he just popped into my mind and I looked him up and then I'm like, wow. And then of course his Facebook wasn't active. I wasn't really using Facebook that much anymore. But when I logged back in, I had seen that he had passed away because I had like a GoFundMe thing. So long story short, in 2024, I had a lot of things happen last year in my personal life. 2024 was a crazy year. And I remember it was eerie because it just happened out of nowhere. This is not like a climax. It wasn't like, I just felt something. This just happened out of nowhere. Do you want to know what happened? Do you want to know what happened? What happened was that he started coming into my mind a lot. And I'm like, why am I thinking about this guy a lot? I hadn't thought about him recently and he just started appearing in my thoughts. And then I even had a dream about him. And in the dream, he was just like trying to say something to me. And I couldn't make out what he was trying to tell me. It was just random. Just random one day, literally just one day this happened. Then I started getting these calls consistently for 6 months straight, every day from different area code numbers. And the area code numbers were Los Angeles area code numbers, and that was similar to his numbers that he had. Because I remember one time we had talked on the phone back in high school, and he had that area code number, and I just thought it was strange. For some reason, I felt like this was connected to him. Anyways, the reason why I felt that was because this number would call me every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and when I would answer, it would be staticky. Hello, 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 and they would hang up. And I remember I would call the number back and the number would it didn't even ring, and then the call would just end, almost like the number didn't exist. So I had asked one of my friends, like a reader, like, is this someone that I know? And she's like, yeah, it's someone that you know. And then I just was like, I asked her, like, could she tell me if it was this person? But she was like, I don't do mediumship. I couldn't really tell you. And I never asked again about that. But the strange thing that I did notice, oh my gosh, guys, every time I tell this story, it always gets interrupted, and literally, right when I was about to start recording again, this cup fell, like, in my kitchen. I just heard it right now. So, yeah, that's kind of creepy. The times I've talked about this story with him, it's like weird interruptions happen and things fall. It's just eerie. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I was getting these calls, and these calls started happening after I had this dream about him. Okay, so I check my mic. So I even had one of my friends call because I had told her about it, and she called and the number would act like it just didn't exist. I was like, that is just so strange. So I kept getting these calls until one time I answered and there was no static, and I said hello. And what kind of gave me chills was that I had heard what sounded like his mother, because I remember when we talked on the phone in high school, his mom's voice was very distinct, and I had heard a voice that sounded like his mother, and the mom was still alive. And then I said, hello, hello, and he just hung up. Now, I know for a fact that none of his family had his number, had my number, so it's not like they knew who I was. And we just talked on the phone 2 times, and that was it. So I would have thought he would have deleted the number or something, and I don't know, I doubt that he still had the same phone he did in high school years later. But after I was still getting these calls, until one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to just talk to him in the spirit. And I told him, hey, Julio, I don't know what is going on. I don't know if you're coming into my life because, things that I was going through, this was a sign, whatever, but I hope that you are at peace, and I am going to say a prayer for you. And I said a prayer for him, and I thanked him. After I said that prayer, and I don't think I talked about this in that video that I made, after I said the prayer, the call stopped. He didn't appear in my dreams anymore. He wasn't crossing my mind anymore. It was almost like this didn't exist. Now, why did he come to me? I still don't know to this day. I don't know if he was stuck, he was trapped, and he came to see me for me to help him, or was he coming to me because I was going through some trials and tribulations during that period of my life? I'm not sure. But I will say that had to be something. Had to be him, or it was something connected to him, because there's no way that I start thinking about you and I start getting calls from you and you're passed away, and then when I say a prayer, the numbers stop completely. So those are my 3 top scary stories, y'all. I didn't want to make these videos too long, but I wanted to tell you some of my Halloween experiences. I have way more that I'll probably make another video on, but I wanted to make these top 3 stories that I have. And yeah, so that concludes my video, y'all. That's it for the video, and I hope you guys have a safe Halloween. And if you guys have any comments, any experiences you have, comment down below your scary experiences. Alright, see you guys next time. Happy Halloween and stay safe, guys. Love you guys. Bye.